Hi everyone and welcome to today's webinar. I'm Lisa. I'm from South Africa, a small town called Robertson. I've been teaching English online for a long time now, quite a long time. So thanks for joining us today. We're talking about level 3 assignment A, so your very, very first assignment. That's the only topic, the only assignment we'll be talking about today. So after about half an hour of slides and talking, then we have another half an hour of Q&A, and I will answer as many questions as possible. All right. So hi, you can say hi and say where you're from, and I will chat in more detail a bit later, but you can still put in the chat and say hi. All right. So let us start. All right. So if this is your first assignment, there's a lot to do, a lot of things to go through and lots of steps to go through. So let's go through this carefully. All right. So level 3 assignment A assesses your ability to produce learning aims and objectives for a specified lesson type and class level. So as you know, who started, this is a grammar assignment and it tests your ability to teach the specific grammar. Produce lesson plan. So you have to produce a whole lesson plan for a specified lesson type and class level, which all your instructions tell you. And you need to produce resources. So resources, we'll go into more detail, but resources are things like worksheets and pictures and the stuff you will use during your class, during the lesson. All right, the assignment will also assess your ability to write a personal reflection, which you need to do. It's part of the assignment. So you reflect on your learning and teaching, and you need to plan a lesson stage in which students are led to analyze the target language, which is the grammar, and use language that is appropriate for the specified class. So your students are young tweens really for this lesson, and they are at an A2 level. So you need to make sure that the language you use in your class is appropriate for those students. I see people from around the world coming in, so hi. As I say, I will go into greeting everyone properly shortly. Okay, so before you even start, you need to download a whole set of documents that will show you what you need to do for this assignment. It really does. I can imagine that when you start, it seems a little bit overwhelming, but first thing you do is you download your documents. So you download the main template, which has details of the face-to-face lesson plan. And at the bottom of that section, there's another little piece there that you have the adaptations you will make for the online version of your class. So that is your main template that you download. You will fill that in. It's a Word document and you will fill it in Word. So that's the main piece. I say piece of paper. Imagine it's a piece of paper. That is the main piece of paper you are working on, is that main template. Obviously isn't a piece of paper. All right. Then the personal reflection is the next section. It's actually all in one go, the personal and then the bibliography. So those three are in a row, one on top of each other in one main template. So as you see, so the main template includes those. The lesson plan, the personal reflection, and the bibliography is in the main template. And then there's a separate template, which is where you put all your materials. It's like a folder that you will then copy and paste all your materials, the pictures you use, the questions you will ask, the prompts for things, and all the worksheets that you will use get put into that materials file. And finally, you will get a model file. So there's also in your package of documents, there is a model assignment. So the model is to show you what your assignment needs to look like. So it gives you a good indication of the length and detail, the length of your answers and the detail you need to go into. But just note your model file is on a different grammar topic. So level 3 assignment A is on the past continuous with an interrupting action. The model file uses the present perfect. So completely different. Don't get confused. Don't think that present perfect has anything to do with the assignment that you are doing. It's just to show you. It's just like a show and tell. This is what it must look like, but don't get those 2 grammar points confused. I'll say that again. I will say that again and again. Just don't get confused. All right. Lovely. Who am I planning this lesson for? So there's a whole case study. It tells you who your students are, where they're from, their level of English, their age, where they're from, everything. It tells you. And so use your imagination when you put the lesson together. Think, okay, these are kids. They are this age. What kind of things are they interested in? So really look at that and take it to heart. All right. Then the lesson plan has 2 sections. Actually, it's a lot of sections, but within the lot of sections, there are 2 sections. There's the face-to-face lesson plan. So that is the lesson plan that you would use if you were teaching in a real classroom with students that are actually there. So you have traveled to Korea and you are teaching the students in Korea. So that's what that initial lesson plan is about. But the adaptation you need to make, to show how you would take that lesson that you would do in a real classroom and change it into an online class. So then you take the same lesson plan and just change it slightly so that you could use that same lesson plan if you were teaching online. So now you're teaching online, you're teaching children from Brazil. You could use the same lesson plan and teach from your office or your lounge or your bedroom, wherever you're teaching online from. So it's one lesson plan that you need to just show how you could adapt it to use it for both a real face-to-face lesson or an online version of it. Okay. So right at the top of your lesson plan, you've got a section where you need to outline your aims and objectives. So the aim is to teach the grammar, and objectives will be breaking it down. So the objective is the students will do a worksheet. They will work out how to use that grammar by putting sentences together. So the objectives are the little bite-sized chunks, the step-by-step things they need to do within the bigger aim. I think that's a way of explaining it. I also was very confused about the difference between aims and objectives, but the aim is the sort of the overlying thing is the aim, and the objective is the small chunks within it. So study and look at those. Study the differences between the aims and objectives. I've given you one definition, but there are better ways of explaining it, I'm sure. And when you are working on your aims and objectives, keep the aims and objective focus on the target language, which is the past progressive or past continuous, the same thing. Slightly different names for the same thing. Like you can say present simple or simple present. It's the same. It's a slightly different way of saying it. And you need to add 1 aim and 3 objectives, and it asks you to. So also, right throughout the template that you will be working on, there are little hints and tips. So it says, we'll say add 1 aim and 3 objectives. It tells you. So don't delete those parts of your template, because it tells you the whole way what you need to do, helping you every step of the way. So leave all of those bits in because it is prompting you to get it right. Okay. Then we go into the lesson plan and your PPP lesson plan format. So the PPP, it's very helpful that it all starts with a P. So the main PPP is presentation, practice, produce. Those are the 3 PPP, what the 3 Ps stand for. But your PPP lesson plan actually has 5 stages. So the first stage is your warmer, which is your warm-up stage. So it's how you greet the students, get them interested in learning. It's not your time to to start teaching yet. So it will also specifically say in your PPP lesson format is don't introduce the grammar and the target language in the warmer. You must introduce it into your PPP lesson plan, but not in the warmer. The warmer is just a warm-up. You can sort of get the students chatting and get some useful vocabulary from them before you present the grammar. So you present the grammar in the presentation stage. Then the practice stage is also called the controlled practice stage. Produce or production stage is also called the freer practice stage. And finally, the plenary, which is like a wrap-up stage. So those are the five steps, the 5 stages in your lesson plan that you need to show what you will do in each stage. And your case study has already told you your students are aged 10 to 12, so they are tweens before they're teens, and they are at an A2 level. All right. So these are all bits of information you are given. All right, so the form to teach. So this is the grammar. This is what you are teaching in this lesson. The past continuous tense for interrupted action. As I said, could be called past continuous or past progressive. It's the same thing. For interrupted action, so the interrupted action is just in the past simple. So, for example, I was playing outside when my mum called me. I was studying when the lights went out. We were having a picnic when it started raining. So it's the 2 clauses that go together. That we have the past continuous and then the interrupted action. So the action that stops. The first action is happening and it is stopped and interrupted by a second interrupting action. All right, so you need to do research on the form and function of this, because this is what the whole lesson is about. Don't forget the interrupting action. So don't get caught in just past continuous tense and forget all about the interrupting action, because that's the other half of the grammar. And also for this assignment, only use the connecting word when. Obviously, in the real world, there are other words you can use. You can say while, for example, but while, for instance, is a simultaneous action. So it's different. So you can say, we were having a picnic while my mom was reading a book. So it's slightly different because the picnic wasn't stopped and interrupted. So just make sure that you don't get confused between the two. That they're similar grammatical events, really, that you can have a past continuous with a simultaneous action, but that is not what this assignment is about. So it exists in the world, but it's not what the assignment is about. So only use the connecting word when and only use the interrupting action. But have a look at it. It's very interesting, fun grammar point. I like grammar, so I think grammatical things are fun. So just make sure that you understand it upside down, back to front, and that you enjoy it and see. The reason I say it's fun is that, and I've read a lot of very fun assignment where it has sort of focused on interrupting actions being funny things. And yeah, there is that you can definitely put into your assignment, is make it fun and funny, because it's there. There are lots of places where you can use humor in this grammar. So that's why there's a fun grammar point. All right. Tips for the lesson plan. So the online adaptation, as I mentioned earlier, mirrors the face-to-face plan. So it's the same lesson. It's not a different lesson. It's exactly the same lesson. It's just the little section underneath. It says, I'm not going to say the exact wording, but it says, what adaptations will you make for the online lesson? It says something like that. So it's just a little section underneath. And the model one, even though it's a different grammar point, will guide you, but it's the place where you can use things like breakout rooms, or you can say, instead of handing out worksheets, I will the teacher will show the worksheet on slides. And instead of doing a mingle activity in the class where the students are walking around, you will put the students into groups in breakout rooms. So maybe it's groups of 3 in breakout rooms. And sometimes you will mute the microphone so that you can talk. And other times you will do gallery view so that everyone can see each other. So there are all sorts of great things with online teaching and that you can use when you make the adaptation for the online version. It is exactly the same lesson. It's not a different lesson. It's the same lesson, just a different version of the same lesson. Okay. Materials and resources. So all of these need to be included in their own separate materials resource template. So don't forget. Because if you forget to submit all your materials and resources, you will have to resubmit your assignment. So don't forget. These are very, very important things. And also don't try and copy and paste them and stick them into your lesson plan. They have their own page. They have their own page and their own template. So all of the materials you're going to use and worksheets, gap-fill worksheets, and pictures, and fun cartoons, and all those great things that you have found for your lesson need to be copied and pasted into that materials resource submission template. All right. Don't just send links, because the markers don't open the links. Because we don't have to, because they're not allowed. And also, even if you do click on the link so many times, they don't work. So links are not accepted. You can in your bibliography, you can say, give a link and say it was from here, but it's not accepted as your material. You need to copy and paste the full content. So you need the hard copy. It's a very old-fashioned way of saying it, but you need to actually copy and paste it, or even just do a screenshot. But it needs to be, you need to actually submit all of that material. And then reference all of the resources in the bibliography, in the main template. So the bibliography section, you need to say, I've got where you got it from. It gives all the rules for your bibliography are also given to you, so you can read through those to have a look and see how to reference everything. All right. Teacher language. Teacher language is within the assignment in the presentation stage, which is the second stage. And this little section within the lesson plan, so it is part of the lesson plan. It's all the details in the presentation stage. So you need details throughout the lesson, but specifically in the presentation stage. And it also has outlined the questions that you need to ask for eliciting. That sounded weird as I said it. I didn't even understand it the way I said it. All right. So presentation stage. What you need to do in that presentation stage is write like a script. So it needs to be mostly, not entirely, but think about it as a script and think about writing it in direct speech. So if you say, I would ask the student, rather just say, so students, what is this? You don't have to say, I would ask the students. You can just give the actual direct speech. And it outlines very clearly the number of questions you need to ask and what they need to be. So I can't remember all of them now, but there are 2 questions that you need to ask to elicit your model sentence from the students. So your model sentence, which would be, I was reading a book when the cat jumped on my lap. So that's your model sentence. So then you need to show the questions you would ask. How can you get to that model sentence? You just make it up. We know that you don't really have the students right there. You just imagine what the teacher would say and imagine how the students might respond. So here's a great example. What is the person in the picture doing? Pictures are great. So showing a picture. How can we join these 2 sentences? So those are two examples on your first two questions you need to ask in the presentation stage to elicit the model sentence. So there's a whole list of sentences, but it tells you what they are. Then teacher language section continued. I said there's a whole list. Here they are. Okay. Two questions you would ask to elicit the form. So the form is where it says, now I'm thinking of another assignment now. So the form is where you go, so I'm already thinking of the other assignment, where you have past continuous, verb plus past continuous, comma, that kind of thing is the form. I'm not getting the right one for you at all now, so ignore what I just said. But the form is how you show how the sentence is constructed. So questions: what tense is this? What is the verb? So those are the kind of questions you would ask. This is now would be the first part. So I was reading. What tense is this? It's the past tense. It's the past continuous. What is the verb? Read. So it would be reading because it's continuous. So those are the kind of questions you are asking. Now, to concept checking questions to check if the students really understand the meaning of the past continuous interaction. So again, carefully. These also have to be shown. Did this happen yesterday? Did it happen in the past? Will it happen tomorrow? Which action happened first? Which action interrupted which action? Does the action still continue? Does the action finish? Does the action complete? So you need to ask all of these questions to make sure that the students understand what on earth is going on. Don't ask, do you understand? Because that will not give you anything. So it's really breaking it down and asking very, very little, small details to make sure that the students really do understand it. So all of those direct speech questions, like the script, are part of the presentation stage. So there's a long section in that template where you ask all of those questions. I'm getting hoarse just from explaining this. All right. Then another section of the assignment, which comes underneath the lesson plan, is your reflective essay. So there's a man called Mr. Gibbs who wrote about reflecting on work you do. So Gibbs's reflective cycle. And we use their questions there as the structure for your reflective account. So there are very specific questions that you ask. Now, these are questions that relate to how you felt while you were doing the assignment. And there are very specific questions that you ask, and you have to give very specific answers. So these are some of the questions. What factors did you consider when planning the lesson? For example, the learner level, the target language, the context, etc. How did you feel during the lesson planning process? For example, were you stressed? Were you enthusiastic? Were you freaked out? Were you confused? So it's just so that the markers can see how did you feel. It also tells you it's 450 words, so it's not a huge section, but you need to just reflect on how you felt as a teacher putting the whole lesson plan together and doing the whole assignment. Very, very specific questions that you need to be on, that are asked, that need to be answered. So just go through it, and it does tell you 450 words. It's not a very long section. All right. This is more on the reflective essay. What went well, what didn't go well? What did you learn about yourself as a result of the lesson planning process? What will you do differently next time you plan a lesson? And there is a model to show you as a guide, but use your own ideas and your own opinions and your own personal experiences. So don't copy and paste, because don't steal other people's ideas. So just reflect on how you felt. All right. So some general tips. Only use our templates. Don't do something else. It will go all out of line and you won't be able to read it properly. So stick to the template. Fill everything in on the templates. They are there for you, and all the tips and everything that you need is all there for you. Once you've done it, you need to convert it to a PDF before you upload it. Read the checklist before you submit. So like, did I include all of my resources? Yes. Are they in my material submission? Yes, they are. Did I do my reflective essay? Yes. Is my bibliography there? Yes. So just, I don't know, I like to tick things. So use the checklist. You don't have to include the checklist. It's for you. It's for you to tick. All right. The naming convention guidelines. So that's how you actually name your assignment. It also outlines. So it's your surname, then your name, then the name of the assignment. So you can name all of your submissions correctly, which would be very nice. And then your copy leaks, AI, and plagiarism check must be below 30%. If not, just go back, read if you have 46%, just like, I'm sure sometimes, you've written something that just happens to be completely accidentally very similar to something that someone else has written before. That really does happen. You have sort of, I can't think of the word now. So you read something and then you wrote it, and then the words are accidentally very similar. So just make sure that your plagiarism score is less than 30, and go through the report and see where the issue is before you send it in. Okay. Because this is your first assignment, you're getting tips on how you can view your assignment feedback as well, because this is your first assignment. So you go to your home page, click on the icon on the top right-hand corner, select grades. There's like a little block that says grades. On the next page, click on your course, scroll down past the test results, and the feedback is at the bottom of the page. So you must just, that grades bit, it's a block. Select that, because all your feedback is there. So it will give you your grade and your feedback that the markers have given you together. All right. And if you're having if there are bits that you really cannot, you're very confused, you are always welcome to contact Tutor Support and send a ticket. And we can't preview files or assignment work. So first, if you're confused, you can't send it in to be checked, but you can send a ticket to Tutor Support and ask some advice, and then submit it. You do get 3 attempts in total, so it's fine. It's not one strike you out, you still get another chance. So if you made a mistake or you just do a bit confused, it's fine. It's okay to have to resubmit. It's fine. Like driving lessons, it's okay to fail it countless times. Eventually, you'll get your license. It's fine. So it's not an issue to have to resubmit. It's absolutely fine. It should be marked. Your resubmission will be marked within, I think it's 48 hours. So it's absolutely fine to have to resubmit. All right. So we almost time for Q&A. All the previous webinars, and there are lots of them, are available on the YouTube channel in the video section. So if you go to the TTA YouTube channel and subscribe to it, then it's there, then you know where it is. Then go to the video section, and all of the webinars are there. So like this one will be there as well from, I think, Tuesday. And there are quite a few of us markers or teachers have done this specific assignment. So if not everything that was covered that you need to find out about, then have a look, because there are lots. We've done this level 3 assignment A countless times. So there are different versions of this same webinar. All right, which is also helpful. And now we go to Q&A. So, hi, Jacques from Pretoria. Hi, James from United Kingdom. Hi, Labna from London. And Super JT, 1985, is already having ideas. It's a fun assignment. And I think that your young students will enjoy learning this. It really is a great topic. And there are all sorts of great things that you can put into your lesson to make it fun and interesting. All right, so if you have any questions about this assignment, hi, Sandra from Chicago. Hi, it's so nice to see people from all around the world, different seasons, different times, and same language. So we all go to teach. So we all joined. I always find that people have great ideas. I always think after this assignment, I might be doing the webinar, but I often get great ideas from fellow teachers. So it's a great place to share ideas. So if you have any questions about assignment, level 3 assignment A, now is the time to ask them. At the end of the assignment, and I'm actually going to put the next slide so that I can type this up so long. At the end of the assignment, we ask if you don't mind spending a couple of minutes and doing the survey, just so that we know if it was useful to you, if there are any other topics that you would love us to do love us to do webinars about, then that is your opportunity to tell us and give us ideas on things that you would love to hear about. I'm just typing this so I can put that other link up as well afterwards. Oh, that's a great. Okay, Minky from Cape Town, hi, level 5. Well, this also set me with level 5, just started. Yes, obviously it's a completely different assignment, but level 5B, so the second assignment in level 5, is also a grammar assignment. And not everything is the same. Like you don't have Gibbs's reflective cycle, and you don't have an online version of the class. But it's also a grammar lesson, and there's also a teacher language section, and you also have to go through the PPP lesson plan, and you have to also include materials and resources like worksheets and pictures and prompts. So there are many things where there's an overlap. A lot of the things are the same. And I should have put that question up like such. So thanks, Mickey. It will help. So there are similarities. I'll go back to that other slide as well. It says Q&A. There we go. All right. Unit 2 of the course, so slightly confused. Yes, you haven't yet got to, I think it's after, I could be wrong. It's after, I think Unit 5. I think it's after, so you'll get to it. You aren't there yet. You'll get there. You'll get there. So you're not there yet. I could be, but I think it's after Unit 5 or after Unit 7. I'm not sure. The level 5 assignment B is after the unit. I'm a bit confused, but you're just not there yet. You will get there. You will get there. All right. You just haven't got to the assignment yet. So there are other things you need to fill in and other parts of your course that you just haven't got to the assignment yet. Okay. Is it difficult to plan classes? I don't think so. I mean, I'm not saying it's easy. I'm not saying it's a very, very easy thing. But you need to start at the beginning and do it systematically. I think just be systematic. So you haven't got there yet, but because it tells you that you have this whole, your class are these 10 to 12-year-olds and you're teaching this grammar. So imagine it like you've got all these children. What will you say first? What will you do first? And Google and research the grammar, and then just start and do it step by step. So I don't think it's easy, but I don't think it's impossible. I think it just needs to be a step by step by step by step by step. And once you've planned this lesson, you can use it. You can use it online, you can use it in a class, you actually can, in the real world, use it. Yeah, you teach. This is a very common grammar point. So you will use this class. You can keep it forever. So it's like you can put it into your file, your folder of classes that you can always use. All right. Thank you. I worry about not being creative with my ideas. What do you recommend I do without accidentally copying someone else's idea? You know, if you came up with the idea yourself, you know, sometimes we all have the, like if we say I was reading a book when the power went out, for instance, to give a random example for an interrupting action. People in South Africa, for instance, so teachers in South Africa, we have all lived through load shedding, which is where the power goes out. At the moment, we don't have it. So that's something that comes up often because it's something we've all lived through. So if you're teaching any South African teachers, an interrupting action, the power going out, is something we've lived with for, gosh, decades, really. So we all will have the same idea. So you're not necessarily copying it. So sometimes we have all of the same idea, not because we're copying it, just because we all have the same idea. You know, it starts raining. It starts raining everywhere. So you haven't copied it. It just, often we just have the same ideas. So I wouldn't worry about that. And sometimes being too creative and like really like going way outside the box could be counterproductive. So I don't worry about it. If you thought of the idea, it will be fine. It's your own idea. Even if it is similar to someone else's, it's fine. You know, like they make superhero movies. They make thousands of them. They're all the same. And yet people watch them and love them. So we often have the same ideas. Okay, but very good question. All right. Person marking the assignment give equal value to every section of the assignment? Yes, they will. Or will they give more marks for certain sections? Okay, well, you are marked pass or resubmit. So it's not like you get 7 out of 10 or 9 out of 10. So the mark is an overall mark and it's the assignment as a whole. So to be honest, the Gibbs reflective cycle is not the most important part of your assignment. The lesson plan itself is that's the gist of your assignment. So I would, that is where the focus lies. So yes, I suppose that part, but it's not a mark for each thing. You are passed or you have a resubmit on the whole assignment. So it isn't a mark for each little bit, but the most important section of it is the lesson plan section of it, because that is I hate to say the meat of it, because I'm vegetarian, but that's the main section. That's the main section of it, is the lesson plan. The bibliography obviously is not as important as the lesson plan. And the Gibbs reflective cycle, that paragraph is also important, but not as important as the main lesson plan. But you are marked on the assignment as a whole. All right, another great, where can we find worksheets from? The great Google. So Google, and there are lots where you have to pay to join. You don't have to do that. But if you Google, free worksheets and look for worksheets, you can also make your own. So you can even get the idea for, here's a great idea. For instance, you're doing a gap fill worksheet and it's the past continuous with an interrupting action. And your theme for the class is about interrupted school activities. That's just out of the top of my mind. So now you can make your own worksheet. So find a worksheet and get the idea and the format, and then you can make your own, which markers are very impressed by if you make your own. So I would get a few have a look, see how they work, see how the different kind of worksheets work. Yeah, you get gapful worksheets, you get unjumble, where you take the words and you have to put them in the right order. Beginning of the sentence, end of the sentence, like matching clauses, things where you have to finish the sentence, things where you have to create the second part of the sentence. So there are various different kind of worksheets. So you can Google and find them, and there are a lot of places. You will find a lot. And as I say, you can create your own as well. Version of the lesson plan worksheets in Unit 2. I don't know that part as well, but I'm going to say probably there are also, okay, there are places to look for worksheets and ways of using worksheets. All right. Arranging class lessons. Can't find worksheets for arranging class lessons. I'm not 100% sure what you mean. If you are, for instance, if you are hired by an online school, for instance, or a school with real children and a real classroom, then often you will be supplied with material actually. But if you have private students and you are teaching them classes, then once you've arranged your class lessons, you can use this grammar and other grammar to teach. I don't think I have really answered your question either. So if you want to reword it again, you are welcome to. So I know it seems like it's an hour-long lesson, and you spend far more than an hour putting the lesson together. And it seems like, oh my word, that's a lot of work for a 1 hour lesson. But as I said before, once you have that lesson, you can use it forever. And, it's sort of open in a way. You can take your main plan and then sort of shift it around a little depending on if the students are a bit older or the level is a bit higher. So you can take that lesson plan and it can be your basis for which you can make other kinds of lesson plans. All right, have a sip of water. Are there any other questions? We still have more time. If you said, is it difficult to plan classes? To run classes where we find worksheets. Okay. In the real world, all of your students probably won't be between 10 and 12. It's just for this specific assignment, your students are 10 to 12-year-old A2. So for this assignment, your students are that age and at that level of English. In the real world, if you teach through Preply and you have a few students here and there, you'll have students of all different ages and levels. And if you teach at a school, at a real school in your country, or at a real school in another country, and you are a digital nomad and you go to China and you're teaching, you will have students of all sorts of different ages. You might have to still teach the past continuous with an interrupting action, and your students could be adults. So, in the real world, you could be teaching online or face-to-face, and you can teach this grammar to anyone. But for this assignment, your students are children aged 10 to 12 at an A2 level. And you are doing two versions of your class. You're doing a face-to-face version with with, at the bottom of the page, I'll say page, at the bottom of each section, at the bottom of each stage, it asks you to show how you would adapt it to being an online class. All right. Very nice question. As far as vocabulary for a particular age group is concerned, what is the best way for a teacher to know if we've reached the student's limit? Are we to play it safe and use basic vocabulary? Definitely. It's very hard. You know, you can do research. Obviously, in this course you're doing, you will learn what an A1 student knows and what an A2 student knows and what a B2 student knows, and you get an idea. And the more experience you have with teaching students with different levels, the more you will go, oh yes, he's C2. So obviously, the more experience, the better you'll be at being able to grade your language. It's hard though. You know, I have a student I see every single week, and his level is quite low, and to use, and it's hard. It's a challenge. So yes, play it safe and use basic vocabulary and speak slower than I do. But yes, you also, it will be something easy to find, I imagine, within this course, definitely, to sort of have a look and see A2 students know this kind of words, A1 students know this kind of word, B3, B2. Research that as well. But I really would play it safe. This class is for A2, so they're very basic level of English. Do we assume the students know the past present for the interrupting? Yes. I think it actually says that as well. I think it says that on the template that the students do know not past. The past, they know the past simple, not the past present. Simple present. The present ones. You've just confused me. So not the past present, the past simple. Okay, not the past present. They don't know the past present. They know the past simple. So they know I ate cheese. He read a book. We know the past simple, not the past present. So I think it says in the template, it will say that the students do know the past simple. Yes, okay, yes. You did say that. Past simple. Yes, they do know the past simple. So they do know the grammar for the interrupting action. After when the cat jumped on my lap, when the power went out. They do know the past simple. And don't present perfect. No perfect tenses here. No perfect tenses. No has. No has or have or had. No. All right, but yes, I think I'm 99% sure it says that the students do know that. They do know the past simple. And they don't know the past continuous, and they don't know the two together. So that is what the lesson is putting the two together. All right, very good question. Thank you. And then you had the other one. Past, okay, that was the one I said. Yes. Okay, past simple. One the way as well. Yes, very nice. I don't have it in my head right now, but I think it says the students know that. I think it actually does say it. But it's the past continuous or progressive that they don't know, and it's the two together, the one interrupting the other, using only the connector when. Very, very important. Obviously, I say in real life, we do have while. It exists, but not for this lesson. You don't need it for this lesson. We don't need actions that go simultaneous action. You don't need it for this lesson. In the real world, and maybe the class after this, you would have it, but not in this class. All right, we still have a few minutes. I'm going to go back to typing out that address. I'm doing so very slowly. So if there are more questions, we still have 10 whole minutes in which to chat about them. I've always said that there is the QR code, but there's also the link that you might be able to click on. I'm not sure. All right. I'm going to put that up right now for now, and then go back to the one that says Q&A. Oh, it looks so red. It's winter. No, it's not winter. It's autumn, but it's cold. So I think we put on too many jerseys because it's so chilly. So I'm looking all hot. All right. So, any more questions about this? It's not a complicated assignment, but there's a lot to it. It's not easy. It's not just it's a whole bunch of stuff you need to put in, and I can imagine that it is daunting. I really do imagine it's daunting. Even marking the assignments over the years is like when you first start, it's daunting. All right. Am I allowed to use music or simple songs? If so, do I add a short video or with the tune and words? If it's a song, I would say give the lyrics for it. Songs would be great songs are great for lessons, so yes. And yeah, you can add links to videos. Again, the markers might not open all those links. So I would say if you have a song, songs are actually great. So if you have a song, I would give the lyrics and explain what the song's about and just say why and just explain it and give the lyrics. And that should be fine. As long as it's clear, as long as it's clear why you're using it and what part you're using it. And if you can explain why and how, it will be cool. There's another question I skipped. How much assistance can we get from student support with our first assignment? You can send a ticket and ask. So if you're going, I don't know where to find this, send the ticket and you will be pointed in the right direction. There's a lot of support. There are people who are waiting to help you all the time. You can send tickets and ask about everything. From the simplest thing, you think, I feel silly to ask this, but you can still ask. And there's a lot of support. So you can ask everything to do with the assignment, not the meaning of life, but the assignment. There are people waiting to help you. Okay, here is an interesting question, not entirely to do with the assignment, but still. Question is not related to the assignment, but how does one approach an A0 group who have no understanding or comprehension of English? All right. There actually has already been a webinar about this. I have even done a webinar about this, teaching absolute beginners. So since we still have 7 minutes and I'm not stealing from other people's questions, there's a thing about absolute beginners or false beginners. So it depends. So absolute beginners could be young, little kids, or could be adults who have just not learned English. But what we chatted about in that webinar is that most people, even if they think they know English, have still heard things like Netflix. They know what Netflix means and they know what download means. So almost everyone knows a little bit of English, even if they don't know that they know it. If your students are young, then obviously visual things are good. If they're kids with a very, very low level English, then visual things and pictures are good, and you learn word by word with pictures. I think of that program on TV, Yakety, with kids learning words bit by bit, that it's almost like, you know, babies learning to speak. And then with adults, one thing I mentioned that came to my mind in that webinar was things like Mr. Bean, because it's non-verbal. So you can actually, you know, find things and, you know, words, videos, sounds, pictures, and just work through it step by step. It's not easy. It is a challenge. It really is a challenge. But there are, and I'm not the only person who did a webinar on that. So there are a few people who have done that webinar teaching absolute beginners. And there were, you know, quite a lot of good points brought up. So I would rewatch those. There's not only the one I did, there are others, but there are other webinars on the YouTube channel about teaching absolute beginners, because it really is a challenge in of itself. Flashcards and the like. Thank you, Jacques. Very, very nice idea. So visuals, so posters, pictures. There were other things that was like 2 months ago now, so now my head is sort of, but there were lots of great ideas. Lots of great ideas in the webinar itself, and there were lots of great ideas from fellow teachers who gave great ideas. So I would go and have a look at the webinars on teaching absolute beginners, because it really is something that is not easy. Not easy. Especially if every time you try and give a definition for the word, like you need that word to give the definition. That's something that us as teachers have to do all the time. It's so hard to describe a word without using the word. I'm sure we've all had that. All right, so 3 more minutes. I hope that has been helpful to you. Just step by step, use all the information that's given to you. When you download all of your pack, your assignment pack, go through it carefully. I would even like read it, then come back to it maybe later and read through it again. Because there's a lot of information and a lot of stuff and a lot of steps part of this assignment. And it's very doable, and it's potentially a lot of fun. You can really make a fun lesson with crazy things interrupting your students. All right. Assignment B will be offered offhand. I am not actually sure. But I would, again, send a ticket to Tutor Support, and they will be able to tell you exactly when the Level 3 Assignment B chat will be. But in the meantime, on the YouTube channel, you will find it. So go to videos and then search Level 3 Assignment B, and you will find it. All right. Much easier. Thank you. Thank you, Jacques. It really is a step-by-step thing. It's part of that thing, like how to eat an elephant. Again, I wouldn't. But one bite at a time. So step by step, it is eat an elephant ever. But that's my job once. It was just like, and someone said that, and I thought it was completely gruesome and yet helpful. Just step by step, one little bit by one little bit. So start at the beginning and go through. There's so much help within the assignment. So many tips and pointers and that show you what you need to do. So don't panic. Just relax. If it seems too daunting, like put it away and come back later. And all the people at Tutor Support are very, very nice and will help you with anything. And there are no stupid questions. We all need just ask the questions. There are answers for all the questions. Thank you. And now I'm going to go to the next slide that has the Survey Monkey on it. And I will put the address up there as well. You can't really select it, but in theory you can. Anyway, so thank you so much for joining me and joining everyone else to be part of this. I do think it's great that we can all share ideas with each other and take some of the the worry out of these assignments, because it's a big thing. It's a big thing. It's a big part of the course. So enjoy it. Don't get freaked out, and enjoy the rest of your day. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, your evening, your morning, depending where you are. There was an Australian the other day, and it was like 2 a.m. I think everyone else, it's sort of day or evening. But thank you so much. And as I said before, all of the other webinars are available. And if you're looking for something specific, then search for it and you'll probably find it. And if not, send a ticket to Tutor Support. Thanks, everyone. Bye.